Hey everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus doing some Titan Field in Modern. As a friendly reminder, if you like what you're seeing on the channel, please consider subscribing, giving us a thumbs up, and leaving a constructive comment down below, as it really helps to grow the channel. One shout out slash kind of commiseration for a member of our family, and I hope doesn't get too upset at this, but Space Marine, one of our longtime contributors, pranksters, opinionated contributors, however you wish to call him. His mother unfortunately passed away after a prolonged illness this week. So if you guys could give a shout out to Space Marine in the comments, I'd greatly appreciate it. He does like to keep things a little bit private, but I did want to share that one of the members of a longtime member of this community has lost a family member. So I'm sorry for your loss, man, and I really couldn't imagine what it would be like without parents. The closest I've ever gotten was losing a grandparent, and I have to admit I wasn't particularly close to any of my grandparents, so none of them would affect me quite as much as losing a sibling or a parent. Had a friend who also, within the last couple months, has lost a younger sibling, so it's been really kind of a tough go for people I know. So I hope you guys keep Space Marine in your prayers if you're into that kind of thing. But I wanted to give a shout out to Space Marine. Anywho, on to the deck tech. Amulet Field is kind of the spiritual successor or spiritual child of Titan Shift and the Amulet Titan decks. This deck was largely created in a direct answer to the Urza Oko decks that were running around. The objective of this deck was to kind of nullify the effect of Oko on a board by making a board state so large that Oko couldn't answer it, and it largely did that to the effect of with copies of Field of the Dead. Since then, a couple new toys have been printed into this deck. Dryad of the Elysian Grove. This is basically Prismatic Omen on a body. It also allows you to hit additional land drops, and then obviously copies of Uro. Titan of Nature's Wrath. This particular deck's only running 1, but when you're running 4 copies of Summoner's Pact, you're really running 5 of everything. Deck has a ton of consistency with things like Once Upon a Time and Explore to hit your additional land drops. Courser Crewfix allowing you to play lands off the top. And then you're playing a bunch of different copies of different lands. Like regular forest, snow-covered forest, regular island, snow-covered island, just to be able to trigger Field of the Dead. And as kind of a nice little package, you also have the additional Valakut's, the Mountain Pinnacle, even though you're not playing a single mountain in your deck, but because you have Dryad of the Elysian Grove, basically every single one of your lands is a mountain, turns your Valakut's into lightning bolts or more, and as you hit your land drops, you're just piling on a ton of damage. This deck is going to win most long games. Addition of things like Cavern of Souls, making your Titans uncounterable. A lot of decks that aren't packing something like Blood Moon or Ashiok just fold to this kind of game plan in the mid to late game. And because of things like Radiant Fountain and Courser of Crewfix and then more cards on the sideboard, this deck can often get to the mid game against more fair aggressive decks like Burn and such. So you really have to try hard to go under them, or really try hard to go over the top of them. Even something like Tron can struggle with going over the top of this deck. And then kind of on the other side of the equation, things like Ad Nauseam and Storm could certainly be a problematic thing for this deck. But there are some tools in the sideboard to fight those kind of decks, but this deck does play a very good value mid-range ramp game. Of course, topped off by Primeval Titan and the lands that we were just talking about. Beyond that, you're using things like Sakura Tri-Builder and a Boreal Grave to accelerate yourself, as well as Uro, and then your deck plays 30 lands. So then you have some utility lands in the form of Castle Garenbrig and being able to cast a Titan with basically only 5 lands in play. A couple copies of Simic Growth Chamber. Some lists are running 3 or 4. but 2 kind of the minimum. 1 copy of Teleria West to be able to get your copies of Summoner's Pact. and kind of allow you to turn on the rest of your deck that way. Copy of Blast Zone, as a slow engineer explosives. Bojuka Bog for graveyard decks, and then Cavern of Souls to keep make your stuff uncounterable. Radiant Fountain, giving you some life in the aggressive matchups, and then Ghost Quarter, because Ghost Quarter is just randomly good in a lot of spots. As far as your sideboard, 2 copies of Damping Sphere. Pretty decent in the Amulet against Amulet Titan itself. Your deck's a little less reliant on the 2 mana lands, so also pretty good against things like Storm and such. 2 copies of Grafdigger's Cage, because it never hurts to have extra graveyard hate against things like Dredge and Crabvine, etc. 2 copies of Beast Within. This is your primary answer to things like Ashiok, which otherwise you have problems answering. Reclamation Sage along with Beast Withins are your answer to Blood Moons. A lot of decks are going to Megas of the Moon as well, so Beast Within is kind of relevant there. Tireless Tracker allows you to have a more grinding game and some of the more mid-range matchups. Obstinate Baloth comes in against anything with Liliana's and or aggressive decks. Dismembers when you have certain creatures you need to answer, so things like Magus of the Moon, any of those various things that can run you down before you can get them. Also very good against something like Leonin Arbiter. Disdainful Stroke, pretty good against anything with anything 4 CMC and greater, obviously, so Blue Eye Control, Titan Mirrors, etc. And then Mystical Dispute, because a little bit of counter magic against control decks never hurts. So, we'll get into some matches here. This has been John for MTG Nexus. I hope everybody is having a great day out there. We are back for match number 1 with Titan Field. Kind of an awkward hand. Don't do anything until turn 3. Is that good enough? On the play is turn 3. Sakura Tribal are good enough. Guess we'll keep it and try. I'm not really sure. Turn 4 Titan, turn 3. Probably should have mulliganed this hand. The awkward Simic Growth Chamber hand. Probably should have just led on things and stuff. Opponent has a Once Upon a Tizzle. Okay. Alright, so we got bailed out by the top of our deck. Turn the Field of the Dead. 2, 3, 4. Okay. So, Surge Node nonsense. Interesting. Courser's an interesting one. Ghost Quarter. Stevo. Pass turn. I think their deck might go over the top of our deck. Just saying. See what land they get. Node. Okay, so they are Tron. stuff. Yep. One, two, three. What am I supposed to get here? So I could get my own blast zone and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Supposed to get blast zone till area west. We have blast zone Valakut. It's possible we could kill them next turn. I think I was supposed to get bounce land till area west, but this at least allows us to cut off their mana if they don't do anything too substantial this turn. Sure. Eugene's annoying. Okay. Why would you play out a cornucopia into the face of... I guess Blast Zone doesn't specifically... Alright. Start with Once Upon a Time. The Primeval Titan seems pretty good. In case they dismember or something silly. Green, that. Okay, yes. Get Field of the Dead, Simic Growth Chamber. That's the Teleria West. Get that out. Please screw a Tribe Elder and pass. Hope we don't die. So, Surge Node. So the Chargetron decks appear to be black in coloration. Sure. Yeah. Yep. Sure. Sure. Yep. Sure. Okay. Sure. Do I have a way out of Ensnaring Bridge besides card already currently on the board? Sages and Beast Withins are in my sideboard. Guess Dryad of Elysian Groves could get us there-ish. Blue, blue. Do this. Grab. Okay. Dryad. We just pass the turn here. Is there anything ghost quartering any other lands nets us? Probably not. Sure. Sure. Okay. Yep. You have a follow-up spell? Sure. What do you get out of your sideboard? Okay. Yeah, I mean, you get to untap everything. That's cool. Okay. Sure. So you basically have to hit 2 lands in a row to lose. Okay. Alright. You can probably safely conclude they're going to combo off from here, so no sense in doing the thing. Reclamation, Sage, Beast Within's, Grafdigger's Cages seem reasonable. Simply because Mystic Forge is like their primary way of doing things. And maybe Disdainful Stroke. Cards that aren't terribly relevant here. Maybe Trim Once Upon a Time. Some ways this is kind of a race, kind of not. And then... Feels like Majuka Bog might be the other cut. Basically what their deck is trying to assemble is an absurdly large amount of mana and then casting something like Emrakul, the Promised End, or whatever out of their sideboard. Recurring Spine of Ishaw. That kind of nonsense. Hand seems pretty good. Okay, so we want the Sack Elder, or do we want the actual land? Just take the Sack Elder. Gives us something to do next turn. Play Cage and go. Yep. Fast Tron could obviously be obnoxious, but what else do you do, right? Getting a forest with that. Yep. Getting one of the regular forests. Make sure to diversify. Alright, Corsair. Giant. Remember how we talked about in the original deck tech how there are a few decks that can go over top of this. what their deck is doing is kind of both going over the top of and completely ignoring what we're doing. So modern gonna modern sometimes. Ugh. Come on now. Step your Tron gain up. Sure. Really need to hit a land here. Don't think we really have anything to Summoner's Pact here for, so cast another Explorer, hope to hit a land. Pass turn. Opponent might tick up. At that point, what do we get rid of? Mono Blacktron. Ugh. Sure. Okay. Is there even anything to Summoner's Pact for right now? Like, Courser really doesn't make much sense. Titan, etc. doesn't make a ton of sense. Be interesting to see if they downtick on the Dryad or not. Okay. Okay. Sure. Wonder at what point they're gonna realize Cage stops them from doing the things they want to do. So what could I even pact here for that would make sense? I think the damage is already kind of done. Okay, pack for Uro and delay the inevitable, but I do think I could pack for Rex Sage. Yeah, fortunately this match is just done. Opponent's kind of attacking on an angle our deck is not ready for, and we're not a fast aggressive deck to punish them, or particularly disruptive, so it's one of the downsides to playing a ramp mid-range strategy without the kind of they go over the top end. So anyways, back for match number 2. And we're back for match number 2 here. Wowzers. I think this is a hand as a keep simply because of Once Upon a Time. Otherwise, it could be hecka awkward. What does basic planes tell me? A snow-covered forest, arboreal grazer. Into, and I forgot to play my Once Upon a Time. Yay. Go me. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, your sequencing is important. Okay. So, okay. Get my Once Upon a Time. Take my Explore. Interesting. No attacks, no blocks. Okay, our opponent didn't mulligan, so okay. Sure. Alright, well that's a card of cardboard. Yeah, it's just a matter of drawing something, I guess. You gotta bounce Dryad here, or their next turn gets really, really rough. Yeah, it feels. Oh, Deputy Attention, sure. Well, there's being good, and then there's kind of being lucky. So, tap, 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 tap. What can I go get here with? Alright, blue, blue. Prime time. Yes. Go grab. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Field the dead. Teleria West. Be able to bounce the Teleria West back to our hand. And then pass the turn, because this game's pretty well over. Okay, soldier on, my friend. Soldier on. Ooh, okay, get a prime time. Nope, deputy detention, sure. Alright. Sure, get a Thalia's lieutenant. Pump up the jam. Okay. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna do this. Trade with your Thalia. Another Castle Garenbrig. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna cast Once Upon a Time. Gonna find another Primeval Titan. And then we're gonna do this. Do this. Cast Primeval Titan. Did I play a land yet this turn? I did not, unfortunately. So gonna get a Field of the Dead and a one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Actually, do I even want to transmute right now? So guess we get Summoners Pact here. So many mistakes, but I don't think it particularly matters. Okay, sure. You get a Mantis Rider. Sure. Use this to get the Dryad. And from here, it's just gonna get really, really ugly. Alright, so we do the Dryad thing. We do the Sakura Tribe Elder thing. And then we do the attack with this guy thing. And then our opponent does the conceding thing. Alright, so humans. Baloth seems good. Dismembers seem fine. Humans. Kite sail. Flurry boot or kind of fun do they have for us? Collector Oof, Damping Sphere, Dismembers, Knight of Wands, Plug Engineers. Okay, so we definitely want those. Those probably want some number of Beast Within. Potentially a Tireless Tracker. Cards that are not good, we can shade that. Shade Once Upon a Time. Maybe an Explorer. Chicabog doesn't seem particularly relevant in this matchup. And try it like that. Okay, so this hand is a little slow, but I think given the Dismember, we can keep it. It is a little risky. Alright, human, sure. So, what kind of card are we hoping to avoid here? Okay. Possible we were supposed to Kitesail Freebooter. Probably have to take Dismember here. Maybe Explore. Dismember. Alright. So we do this. We explore. Play Blast Zone. Go through the turn. Opponent is going to play Mantis Rider, sure. To hit us for a lot. So play Dryad, play land, play land, yield through the turn. Guessing you play Meddling Mage here, Reflector Mage, alright. Is this lethal though? Maybe. So I take 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm dead to a Lieutenant next turn. So I can Titan. Grab what? Field of the Dead and Field of the Dead and Radiant Fountain. Two, three, four, five, six. Alright, so we're just dead then. Because I miscounted my lands, so we are dead. 4 or 5. Block there, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Guess we weren't dead by one, but if they had a human in their hand, we were just dead, so. Still think this setup is fine. What does this hand do? We are on the play. So that into that. This hand doesn't do anything fast enough. This hand's potentially fine. Back, I guess, Teleria West. Play. Green pull tapped. Last turn. Still don't have to Once Upon a Time for anything yet. Okay, they go that guy. Grab a basic forest of some kind. Cast Once Upon a Time. See a Valakut and a Field of the Dead. Question is, what do you name? That's annoying. And this is going to whiff. Just take this hit here. Alright, what you got here, friend? Okay. Do you name? Sure. So draw a Primeval Titan. Question becomes, what do we wish for? Those were having engineering explosives would be so nice. Guess I could wish for Courser here. Uro seems reasonable. We don't have a ton of cards in our graveyard. Courser. Play out Courser. Crack the clue. Play that. So Reflector Mage is in my future. Feels like a Reflector Mage. Doesn't make this router even change the clock here. Yeah, it kind of does, but kind of doesn't. So we're taking a hit for 4 here. Right. So I think Dryad of Elysian Groves. Go to 6. Still think there's a good chance we're dead here, but at least this gives us a chance, right? Okay. I mean, if you have Thalia's Lieutenant, it's mostly lethal. Sure. My hand is literally all stuff I can't cast. Does Uro keep us alive? Uro. Giant. Cast the arrow, do the trigger thing. Cast the Garenbrig. This, play this guy, another land in play, get another dude, get some more life. Come on. Sure. Sure. So, block here. Yes, rather not die. Transmute. Get a blast zone. Play the blast zone. Trigger everything, Batman. Attack with Uro. Gain a bunch of life, do the thing. This guy. Don't particularly care if my opponent gains life, because next turn we really get to go off. I mean, sure. I mean, that's definitely a lot of damage. Don't know that it particularly matters, but it's a lot of damage. Shove in. Shove it in, shove it in. So, block. Take 4. Don't forget to charge my dude next turn. Playing out Ghost Quarter here matter. Yeah, I think it does, because 1, 3, and then play this one. Then opponent has conceded. Alright, so despite punning a billion different ways, that matchup managed to get there against humans. We are back for match number 3 with Titanfield in Modern. And seems pretty reasonable by this deck standards. So, Valakut into Forest. Let's mulligan to 6. One, two, three. It's possible it's dangerous leading on Valakut, but there aren't a ton of decks, main deck, that can punish Valakut specifically. I wonder if our opponent's considering conceding. Be awesome. Ah, humans. Sure. The humans player. Am I supposed to cast Explore here rather than Stevo? This would give us access to 3 mana. This gives us access to 3 mana. This would allow me to bounce. We're just supposed to play Explore here. Three, 4, 5. Opponent can Kite Sail Freebooter us this turn, but they're not going to have any targets. So, oh yeah, sure. Once upon a time. So I have no way to cast Once Upon a Time this turn, do I? So 1, 2, 3. It's possible I actually missequence my lands by playing the bounce land. I don't think so, though. So play this, do the Dryad, do the Valakut, do the Field of the Dead, pass turn. Hope our opponent does not have a Reflector Mage, which is probably the worst thing for us. Okay, that does not look like a Reflector Mage. Kite Sail Freebooter. Take our Once Upon a Tizzle. And Guru, their Champion of the Parush. So play that, play this, damage to that, yes. Go ahead and kill that. I like to use this ability. Did screw up here. I was supposed to get an island there. Fortunately, I don't think it particularly matters. Sure. Feels like a concession, maybe. Yep. Alright, so humans. Definitely want the copies of Dismember. A copy of Baloth. Maybe one copy of Beast Within. Tireless Tracker worked out interestingly for us. Cards are not good in this matchup. Bajuka Bog's kind of a whatever. Rest of the lands all kind of serve their purpose. Ghost Quarter, maybe we could cut that, but I don't think we want to go too far on lands. Once Upon a Time, cut an Explorer, cut Summoner's Pact, and it's possible we don't even want Baloth in this matchup. I'm not entirely sure, but the reasoning I'm cutting some of the spells is Thalia primarily. And especially on the draw, it's not always possible to unload all the spells before they can actually Thalia us into oblivion. So kind of funny that I was like considering how to play against humans with the burn deck, and it's like I run into humans twice with Amulet Field here. Not Amulet Field, Titan Field. Are you going to Salty McSalterson us? No, that's at least a positive. Alright, so this hand has no green sources and no Once Upon a Time, so I don't think we can keep this hand. This hand has a couple of Once Upon a Times, some green sources, so I think I ditch the second Once Upon a Time and keep this hand. Okay. Do you do with your... Okay, Ether Vial, sure. So the problem with playing Once Upon a Time here is we're still not 100% sure what we want. And there's a decent chance our opponent could have something here, like a freebooter or something, so might want to save that for that. Are you stuck on one land? You are. It's definitely a little bit aggressive. Yeah, I screwed up there. Needed to cast Once Upon a Time before that. One of these times I'll remember that. Okay, another Noble Hierarch. So maybe killing the Noble was a mistake. Definitely needed to cast that Once Upon a Time. Okay. It's a lot of Noble Hierarchy. Grab a island. Okay, draw step. Hit me with your best shot. Fire away. Probably taking the Explorer here. Obviously, it would have been a bit of a gamble to hit a land off of Arboreal Grazer here. The opponent has perfect information, so okay. Reflector Mage. Motion Bueller. Okay. And what you find? What you got over there, friend? Okay. Take my Explorer. Do you have a Meddling Mage? Looks like just a Kite Sail freebooter attack. Do that. So get to cast a Primeval Titan. What do I even grab here? 1, 2, 3, 4. So Field of the Dead isn't particularly good right now. It's just Teleria West. Is it Teleria West right now? Teleria West Simic Growth Chamber? This one's not attacking. Dryad of the Elysian Grove. If I untap with this, Primeval Titan, they're in a lot of trouble. Okay. Feels like a redraw. Nope. Okay. 3 mana, Reflector Mage, sure. Balance my prime time. Okay. What's your other card? Okay, Teleria West, Dryad. Valakut, shoot something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So transmute, do that. Actually, does it particularly matter? What am I transmuting for is the question. Could get Blast Zone. Blast Zone's a little slow. Valakut really doesn't get a whole lot here. So I think we just get Valakut, play Dryad. Shoot. That one, I guess. I like to use its ability, yes. Cast a Royal Grazer with no lands to put into play, just as a blocker. Nope. And then our opponent has some draw steps at some good stuff. Okay. Alright. Yep. Okay. Sure. Wow. Okay. Alright, so let us do the thing. Cast a Prime Time. Don't know why they're not conceding, but okay. Valakut. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Valakut and Field of the Dead. Merry Christmas. Kill you. Kill you. Kill you. Kill you. Should be enough to prompt the concession. Yep. 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 Oh, just took the second round of Valakut triggers. Okay, cool. Well, if nothing else, we know human seems to be a pretty decent matchup. On to the next match. We're back for the fourth match with Titan Field in Modern. Unfortunately, we're on the draw in this matchup, but can't win every die roll. See how our opponent chooses to play this game. I think we keep this hand, but it is a little concerning. Ah, they are also a Once Upon a Tizzle deck. They are an Eldrazi Tron deck. Gotcha. So we'll do this, do this, trigger me this, Batman. Yield through the turn. All right. Do nymph. I wonder if our opponent does have. Yeah, it's fine. We have another one anyway. So, does our opponent have Natural Tron? They do. Well, we're going to lose Primeval Titan, which is mildly annoying, but not a ton we can do here. Okay, let's Castle Garenbrig. So, still do this. Play out the castle. Play explore. Play land. Pass turn. So if we happen to draw a Summoner's Pact or a Primeval Titan, this should be good. Opponent's got 10 mana this turn. Yay. So I will never understand why this deck plays Karn Liberated. They cannot consistently cast the card. Alright, on to another game. So, Eldrazi Tarn. Alright, so Eldrazi Temple. Yep, like, once again, I will never understand why they play Karn the Great, or Karn Liberated. They cannot consistently cast the card, but... Alright, so... Right, well, Tireless Trackers... Damping Sphere could certainly hurt them... But is it worth bringing in? That's another question. Dismember seems reasonable. Rex Sage even seems reasonable. Like, it's kind of a racing situation, kind of not. So does Arboreal Grazer matter? Maybe. Maybe leave a Tracker out, an Explore out, Summoner's Pact out. Could Jukabog out. Damping Sphere. Does that slow them down enough? Don't know if they're actually going to have Tron all that much, and most of their payoffs honestly don't matter. So, should once upon a time try it like this. Like maybe I'm not supposed to have Courser in my deck. Like, they're a really weird deck to play against. I think this hand's fun. Once upon a time, because, yeah. Like in this matchup, life sort of matters, but also doesn't. Don't want to get caught by a random dismember our opponent's trying to be cheeky with. Explorer's not a bad card, but it's also not a particularly good card here. Guess we hope they don't have Tron here. Of course they have Tron. Okay, draw land. Rest of our hand's kind of redundant. Explorer allows us to play another land. Attack here. Got Steve-O. Really? Sure, crack it. Hmm. So Grand Brag is not really particularly important here. Tech Edge, mildly annoying. Your opponent's trying to bait us into hitting something with, with. All right. Okay. So we haven't actually lost to our opponent's good draws. We've lost to Karn Liberated. Okay, Ghost Quarter. Sure. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, sure. And blocks. And what you got from though? Ghost Quarter. So let us force your hand. It's not what I was trying to do. Good job. Alright, meant to pump up the jam there, but really didn't matter because we didn't draw anything anyway, so. I think we would have been in decent shape if it weren't for Carney Boy here, but for whatever reason, our opponent is running Karn Liberated in their tremendously inconsistent and assembling Tron deck. Alright, on to the next match. Alright, back for match number 5. We're on the play. Hand's a little on the slow side, but I think we keep it, especially on the play. Lead on Valakut or Bajuka Bog. Okay. Opponents. They'll draw the Tron deck. So fetch. Play this out. Grab. Play that. Turn that. Bog you. Not that it particularly matters here. Okay, Bluetron, sure. Yep. nothing here to attack with. Another blue source. Can't cast Summoner's Pact, so guess we're on the Uro plan. Oop. Thirst for knowledge. Discarding Ballista. So just grab a forest. Field of the Dead seems like a pretty good draw. Do that. Escape Uro, because what else are we going to do this turn? This is probably just going to get countered. Yeah, at least he returned it to our hand. That was nice of him, right? Okay. Yep. Explore. Another explorer. Another land. Chalice on 0, obviously annoying, but nothing you can do. Okay. You have 1 billion mana. What do you choose to do with it? It's a whole lot of dead cards in our hand going on. Is there even anything I can do right now? Not really. Gotta hope our super slow beatdown plan gets there. Doesn't seem likely. Sideboarding, probably want to bring in the counter spells, the Rex Sage, and the Tireless Trackers, as well as maybe Beast Withins. What you got over there, friend? Sure. I mean, that's a good card when we have lands in hand, but right now it's just kind of all 4 copies of Thirst for Knowledge? All 4 copies of Thirst for Knowledge. Okay. Multiple chalices in their main deck. Let's see. Sure. This is Go Get Mindslaver. I think we just conceded to that. Torrential Gearhulk. Sure. God, dumbfounded that they let this all resolve. What you got over there, friend? Here's the Gearhulk. What do you flash back? Thirst for Knowledge? Really doesn't seem like you have discarded expedition map. Okay. Back to having Tron. Yeah. Yep, and on to the next game. Some cards we are interested in. Tireless Tracker, Damping Sphere, Ish, it's debatable ones, Bluetron, Disdainful Stroke, Mystical Disputes, a Rick Sage, and a Partridge on a Pear Tree. Cards we don't want, these are Boreal Grazers, Jason Summoners packs, because they're very much going to be hitting us on that particular cylinder once upon a time. And Radiant Fountain could probably get out of here. Not a card that's particularly relevant in the matchup. So my initial impressions of the deck are not particularly favorable. I think playing the mid-range game without the ability to just combo your opponent kind of feels bad. Granted, we played a whole bunch of Tron, which guess this card's fine. Guess this hand's fine. Sure. So what are the dangers that they can play 2 lands? Let me just let them go and fetch a Tron piece, right? Do they go and fetch? Fetch an island. Interesting. Give them a 3/3 because we don't particularly care about 3/3s. Sure. Sure. Okay. Sure. Really would like to draw a land here. Styrian Forest is pretty nice. Pass the turn. That was dumb. I should have played the land pre-combat. We don't walk face first into a condescend. Okay. Sure. Don't particularly care about spreading the seas here. Blow that up. Don't think we're in good shape, but don't think we're in bad shape. Thought Knots here. Toss on 2. Sure. Okay. Two, 3. Play a land. No reason to make a move here. Okay, you have Tron, wonderful. What? Okay. Sure. Yep, and that's the game. Wonderful. Alright, back in a minute with the wrap-up. Hey everybody, we're back for the wrap-up with Titan Field. Thought process on this deck, much like Jund or Burn or I don't even know about Burn. Much like Jund or Mardu or a lot of these other mid-range decks, you're kind of stuck in the middle of at the mercy of what people are doing. The decks we lost to are exactly the decks that I kind of figured would give us problems. Decks that go over the top of us. Eldrazi Tron happened to have Natural Tron plus Karn Liberated on turn 3 or 4. Kind of hard for us to pressure that really early on. Mono Blue Tron had the go over the top with Ugin. And then the Mono Black Paradoxical Engine, complete total utter nonsense. also goes over the top of what we're doing, as well as kind of like that Storm example, or Ad Nauseam does something that doesn't really care about what we're doing about because we don't kill them particularly quickly. So while I think this deck was very powerful, and I think the core of it is powerful in terms of disrupting the aggro decks, disrupting the other mid-range decks, I think you really have to know your metagame before picking this deck up. I think in a sea of like humans and burn and maybe even prowess, this deck can like buy enough time to set up its engine and kind of power through like it did against humans. And I think against the normal builds of Eldrazi Tron, it's a lot of the same thing. Our opponent kept good hands once upon a time in the third Tron piece and kind of went to town. So I think in terms of mid-range and board stalls, this deck is very good. I think in terms of metas that are skewed towards spell-based combo or decks that don't care about the battlefield per se, I think this deck is poorly positioned. I know there was a lot of play mistakes on my part. I'm not going to sit here and justify that we couldn't have had a better record if I would have mulliganed better or this or that or the other thing. But I think much like Valakut, traditional red-green Valakut, I'm not a huge fan of this deck's playstyle. Especially in a format like Modern. I think this deck would be extremely powerful in a format like Pioneer. Maybe a little bit less so now with the Lotus Breach and Dimir Verter combo decks. But I do think this deck doesn't quite hit the mark for me in Modern, but it was good to get some idea of what the deck is capable of. I do think the more traditional Amulet Titan lists are a little bit better set up at fighting the format, just because they have that potential nut draw with Amulet and Titan itself, and a little bit more utility with their Teleria West and such. But I don't think this mid-range thing is particularly well set up in a kind of extreme end format like we could potentially be in. I think the format's very open right now. With, as always with Modern, if you get your right hate cards in the graveyard or in your sideboard, and your deck has pretty reasonable matchups against the field, you're going to do well. If you hit bad matchups, you're going to get demolished. And that's just kind of unfortunately Modern in a nutshell. Like Burn could do 4-1 league and then 1-4 the next. Or people could be hard targeting red-based aggro, not do well, take a human stack out, crush the field. It's just kind of the nature of Modern, which makes it a little bit, knowing your deck's obviously very important, and just having a feel for like the decks you're going to be playing against or expect to play in a particular meta, oftentimes can be really important. It's why you see a lot of people stick to one or two decks in Modern and do extremely well with them over time. It's kind of becoming like Legacy, I think. While it does serve you to know the format well and to play the best deck, etc., I think those people that have a really good feel for a deck or two and stick through those decks can get that, squeeze those extra couple of percentage points you can get and just do well in the format. But anywho, this has been John for MTG Nexus. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.